I've never done a tier list ranking video like this before. I got the idea recently because I was playing my PlayStation 2, going through some of my favorite games, Silent Hill 2, Digital Devil Saga, and of course, my first PlayStation 2 game ever, Budokai 3. Some people will go ahead and argue that the Tenkaichi series was better as the successor to Budokai, but Budokai 3 is so special that it's always going to have a special place in my heart as my first PlayStation 2 game and one of my favorite Dragon Ball Z games that was ever made. So let's go ahead and let's get started into our tier list for the fighters. A couple of things that go into where they are on the ranking is, of course, their actual variability. Some characters have a lot more options when it comes to building them, since you can customize characters with certain skills. There's also going to take place on like their energy meter, other special mechanics, super moves, things like that. So let's go ahead and let's get started. So I guess we should start off with our first character here, Goku. I think it should go without saying that Goku is the most well-made character within this game, except for maybe Vegeta. But Goku has the most options. He certainly has the most transformations, and he has the most number of moves that you can go ahead and equip. Not only does he have Super Saiyan 2, 3, he also has Super Saiyan 4. He can go ahead and he can also use fusion abilities as well, and we'll talk about fusion characters a little bit later since I went ahead and I kept them separate. But Goku is absolutely the peak of this game. Skins also are going to go ahead and take a place into where I put characters on the list here. Goku has his blue gi from the end of Z and like a beat up version that I think is pretty cool. But of course, Goku is going to go in our Z tier as the most well made character in the entire game. But let's go and take a look over at Kid Goku. Now, Kid Goku is a nice addition. He's the only Dragon Ball character listed, or at least like the version of him you play as is specifically from Dragon Ball. But unfortunately, he's kind of mid. He doesn't have any transformations. He's got some cool special moves. He has the one ability where he like does the Dragon Fist through Piccolo. That's one pretty cool. But as far as like viability, not really all that much that you can do with him. So because there's not really a lot to him, just for the fact that it's cool that he exists, I'm just going to put him in C tier here. So now let's go ahead and let's take a look at Kid Gohan. Now, Kid Gohan, he is unique with his transformation that he does get from the Namek Saga called Hidden Potential, where he gets like a little mini transformation. Nothing super, super great, but it could go ahead and it could give that slight edge. The way that transformations work in this game is that they make you stronger. They also can, for most, give you additional energy bars, which is also nice. But because of that, I'm going to go ahead and squeak him at the top of C tier. Not that he's necessarily bad, but there's just better options out there. But it is cool that they did go ahead and they kept Gohan separate from teen, adult, and his kid versions. And of course, we also have the fourth Gohan, but we'll take a look at that in a moment. Moving right along with Gohan here, let's take a gander at Teen Gohan. Now, Teen Gohan, of course, is going to have his Super Saiyan 2 transformation. You can use the Father-Son Kamehameha, which is also really cool. I really enjoy playing as Teen Gohan, and some people would say that this is when Gohan would peak. I'm also kind of in that same boat as well. But because of those transformations and the cool factor of using the Father-Son Kamehameha, we're going to go ahead and put him up in B tier. Now, Adult Gohan is another story. Not the biggest Adult Gohan fan when it comes to the show itself, but I like what they did. I like his interactions with Majin Buu when he fights towards the end of the Buu saga there. But Gohan in this game has a little bit of a better kit. He does have the third transformation, which he of course goes into his ultimate form. Has a kit similar to Goku with like Kamehameha and Super Kamehameha and stuff like that. But because of that third transformation, I'm going to go ahead and put him in A tier. Now, our fourth version of Gohan here is, of course, the Great Saiyaman. I think Great Saiyaman sucks. It would have been fine if they had kept a transformation where he turns into Super Saiyan and the helmet like gets blown off like it does in the show. Or if Great Saiyaman was just a skin for adult Gohan, I think that would have been fine. But the fact they wasted the data to make him his own character, I'm just not a big fan of Great Saiyaman. So I'm going to put him down in our Raditz tier. Absolutely not a character that I would ever go ahead and look out into going ahead and picking. Might as well go ahead and move along with the rest of our Z Warriors here. Let's talk about Piccolo. Piccolo is another character in this game that is crafted very, very well. He has a lot of flashy moves, a lot of options like the stretch arm and things like that. Special beam cannon, hell zone grenade, all these really fun moves to go ahead and use. He also has some cool skins too. The skin that I like the most, honestly, is his skin of where he's dressed as Nail from the Namek Saga, which I think looks good. He does have two transformations, so he does have the transformation where he fuses with Nail and then fuses with Kami. These transformations may not be as strong as some of the Saiyan characters, but there's a lot of love crafted into Piccolo, and he is a lot of fun to play as, so that's going to put him in A tier. Next up, let's talk about Tien. Oh, poor Tien. Tien, again, is another character that has a lot of cool moves, like the Tri-Beam, the Dodonba, stuff like that. And his ultimate is like his attack that he used against Semi-Perfect Cell. But he doesn't have any transformations, no real way to up his ki ability except for items that you use in the game. So I'm going to put him in C tier. I like the fact that his skins that you can play as are his iconic green tunic and his blue tunic that he wears from the Buu Saga. I think that's a neat little addition to go ahead and give some options for some flavor. But beyond that, of course, there are going to be characters that are going to go ahead and outclass him. Yamcha, on the other hand, a lot of people will meme on Yamcha, say that, oh, Yamcha sucks, and he kind of does. In this game in particular, though, I'm going to put him in D tier. He doesn't have any transformations. He does have some neat skins, like he has the skin where he has long hair, short hair, and then a third skin where he's in like the yellow suit, which I'm pretty sure is from the Buu Saga, which is cool. I like that attention to detail, and I think it's neat that they went ahead and followed that outfit. However, his super move, which is his iconic Spirit Ball, it can backfire. So what that means is that if you fail the Spirit Ball, it doesn't hit, and then it actually comes back and hits you. And I'm pretty sure it doesn't do any damage when it comes back and hits you, but it's kind of like a waste of energy. And while super moves are not necessarily hard to put off in this game, it could put you at a huge disadvantage if you waste all that energy and all that ki going ahead and throwing off a super move and you screw it up and you don't get any damage on your opponent. Again, not terrible to play as. There's only really 3 play styles in this game: short, medium, and large. But because of the super move being lackluster and having that option where it could potentially backfire, well, funny, doesn't really make our boy Yamcha here the best fighter. Next, of course, we have Krillin. Krillin, similar to Kid Gohan, is going to have a transformation. His transformation is similar to Gohan's, where it's the power boost he gets from Namek. He also has some pretty cool moves like Destructo Disc, Kamehameha, like a Super Destructo Disc that he can utilize, which is a lot of fun. I also like the fact that for the Krillin skin, you get base form, which is, the orange gi. You get his Namek armor, which is cool, and you also get his Buu Saga look where he has hair. And I just thought that was a very, very nice addition. So that's going to squeak him to the very top of C tier. I actually think that Krillin is a lot of fun to play, even if he doesn't have some of the flashiest moves in the game. And so with that, that is going to start taking us all the way into the Saiyan Saga. So let's go ahead and let's talk about Raditz. Raditz doesn't even have a super move, so I'm going to put him at the bottom. Even Great Saiyaman has a super move, but Raditz doesn't have one. He has Saturday Crush and Double Sunday as energy attacks, but he has no key power-ups, no final move, anything like that. He is as basic as a basic character could possibly get. I think that Raditz gets a bad rep too for not really being in the show all that much, but in this game particularly, he's just not really the best option to go ahead and play as. Following up with Raditz, we have the mighty Nappa. I actually enjoy Nappa a lot. I think it's cool that over time, because of the Team 4-star videos, Nappa has gotten kind of a cult following, and that's fun. I like the idea of big, bald, goofy Nappa. But the real question here is, how does he play? Nappa is a bigger character, so potentially a bigger hitbox. Um, Nappa does have a super move, which is really, really fun and really, really flashy to go ahead and put off. But beyond that, he doesn't really have any thing that makes him super, super unique. Unfortunately, there's not even like a shirtless Nappa skin. The only skins that we have are the base armor that we see him as, and like a long sleeve version, which he never really had. It also would have been nice if we saw like a Nappa with hair, but unfortunately, it's just not there. Because of that, I'm gonna squeak Nappa at the top of D tier. Because even if you fail with his ultimate move, it'll still do damage, and it looks really, really cool when you finish it off. But I think that the lack of cool skins and lack of other abilities besides like Bomber DX is putting him at a disadvantage. Now we get to the Prince of all Saiyans. Needless to say, he is going to go and be in the Z tier along with his best buddy Goku. When it comes to Vegeta, very similar to Goku, he has a lot of like very flashy moves like Final Flash, Big Bang Attack, Gallic Gun, all these really iconic Vegeta moments. He is also, like Goku, able to turn into Super Saiyan 4, which is really, really cool. And he also is able to utilize the Vitara earrings and the fusion dance, so he could also go as Gogeta or Vegito. One point where Vegeta kind of takes a step back, though, which I think is a shame, is that his Majin form is kind of a bitch to go ahead and get out. So to get the Majin form for Vegeta, what you have to do is you have to be like 1 bar of health and get knocked down, and then you go berserk and turn into Majin Vegeta, where you get like a crazy attack boost. Visually, it's really, really cool, but to actually play as Majin Vegeta is a drag. Um, it's a pretty high risk to go ahead and perform that move, and you have to waste item slots to go ahead and use the Bobbity item to turn him into Majin Vegeta. If you can do it, your moves get changed, so you get like Atomic Blast and other cool stuff. And your ultimate is the Suicide move, which looks awesome and will completely devastate your opponent if it lands. But thinking with how quick matches can go within this particular game, it's not always the best strategy to go ahead and try and get up Majin Vegeta. If you're going against like a high-level opponent or like a really good player, you're probably going to get smoked before you can really do any damage with Majin Vegeta. And that's kind of one of the drawbacks of this game, is some of the cooler transformations are either like really limited or you can only get them under certain conditions. So characters like Gohan Super Buu, Gotenks, Vegito, characters like that, unfortunately, kind of get the shaft in this game where they can play as them, but you can't start the match as them. You have to kind of fight and go through it naturally in the game, which some people might like, but if you want to just start off as Majin Vegeta or Vegito, you kind of had to go through the whole rigmarole of unlocking it during the match, so you can't start, unfortunately. But Vegeta's still going to be in Z tier. Moving right along, this is going to go ahead and get us into the Frieza saga here. So let's go ahead and let's take a look at the big dumb boy himself. Oh wait, I forgot about the Cybermen. Cybermen, bottom of the Raditz tier. Even worse than Raditz, even worse than Great Saiyaman. The Cybermen are a real pain to go ahead and unlock. The way that Cybermen work in this particular game is that you get 3 of them, and then when one, with only 1 bar of health, and then when one drops, another one comes in. Very limited move pool, no super moves. Like, it would have been cool if they got like the Suicide Explosion. But the Cybermen overall are a pretty, they're pretty bad. And plus, trying to unlock them is such a pain in the ass. Like, it doesn't, like, kind of in the same pool as Cell Jr., where it's like, it's cool that they're in the game, but the fact that it is such a bitch to go ahead and get them out is frustrating. So, bottom of the Raditz tier. Absolutely terrible. Cool, nice that they're there, but I wouldn't play as them. Now, let's go ahead and get into the Frieza saga. First, we have Raccoon. Raccoon is pretty much a staple for any Dragon Ball related game because of his legendary fight with Vegeta, Krillin, and Gohan when he, snapped Gohan's neck. Raccoon is in most Dragon Ball fighting games because, makes sense. Decent move pool. He's got a cool super move. He and Ginyu also have these moves where they kind of give themselves little buffs. Kind of neat, but they're the only characters that really have them, except for Great Saiyaman as well. But one thing that disappoints me about Raccoon is that there's not a beat-up skin that you can play as with him. There's a skin where he's in like a onesie and his armor, but that's about it. I would have liked to have, the buck teeth, busted face skin, but what can you do? Because of that, very, very middle of the road. Because of his buffs, I think I'll put him at the top of D tier, just above Nappa, because I guess you get slightly more options, but really not all that much. Ginyu, though, is a different story. Ginyu, first off, has my favorite skin in the game because he has a skin where it's the body of Ginyu, but in the Goku gi, and I think that's really, really funny. So that definitely gives him some bonus points. I also like that his super move is change. So just like in the show, what he'll do if it lands is he'll hurt himself pretty severely and then switch over to the body of whoever it is that the other person is playing as. Now, this could either be a good thing or a bad thing. Typically, you would only want to use that move if your opponent's been like whooping you and you don't have a lot of health left. You could really squeak out a dirty, dirty win with that. Now let's go ahead and let's take a look at Frieza. Frieza is another character. He is going to go to the top, bottom of Z tier. Frieza has a lot of transformations, a lot of cool moves, a lot of options. And what really elevates him above A tier is that if you sacrifice some of your transformations and attacks, you can equip Frieza's spaceship. Now what that will do is that when Frieza drops and dies, the spaceship comes over, it sucks him up, and then you play as Mecha Frieza with full health and 5 energy bars. So you could really, really do some damage with that. It's also great for tournament modes as well, because if you get dropped in the tournament mode, you can basically get another life to go ahead and attack your opponent with more energy than you did before. So Frieza is absolutely fantastic. I also like the subtlety that if you play as third form Frieza and do the Dragon Rush attack, you'll actually get a special animation where he does like that attack where he kept like shooting Piccolo with all those bolts. He'll do that to all the characters, but only in his third form. And I think that's neat. I think that is pretty cool. So yeah, Frieza definitely goes up in the Z tier. I know that he's not really part of the Frieza saga, but I do have to shout out my boy Cooler. This is one of the... I think that Cooler will actually go above Frieza in the Z tier. And my main reason is that, though he has less transformation, he starts off in his fourth form. He gets the fifth, big ultimate Cooler form that we see here as his transformation. His Saucer Blade attack, his back E, what that does is it does he steps forward and does like a tri-slash and then a knockback. So he's really, really great for tournament mode to go ahead and knock opponents out of the ring. And because Cooler has a smaller pool move than Frieza, what he could then do is use Cooler Spaceship. Once he drops down to 0 health, he'll come back as Mecha Cooler, and it's pretty awesome. It's like I said, it's fantastic. It can be really frustrating fighting against somebody who has that specific move pool set up. Moving on over into the Android Saga, we have Dr. Gero. Now the androids, I think, are an interesting bunch. Reason being is that they start off with more energy than other characters. Most characters will start with 3 energy. They start off with 4. Dr. Gero, though, is kind of basic, if I'm being honest. He does have the one ability where he could do the energy steal, which is cool, and I do enjoy that. But overall, I feel like he is a weird introduction. Previous Budokai games had Android 19, which I feel makes more sense because 19 does a lot more fighting, whereas Dr. Gero just kind of runs around. But it is kind of neat that he is here, though his move pool is relatively small with no transformations. Even though he does have the energy, I'm going to go ahead and put him in C tier. I think it would have been nice if they had Android 19 and 20, but hey, that's the way the designers made it. So sadly, he is omitted. Let's go over to his son, Android 16. 16 is a lot better off. He, of course, has as much flashier moves, which is to be expected. He's got Rocket Punch, Hell Flash, all that kind of fun stuff. Because of that, I'm going to slap him over at the bottom of B tier. Really, really fun to play as, and I really enjoy Android 16. 17 and 18, I'm also going to put in B tier. 18, I'm going to I'll put her above 16 for one reason and one reason only. 18 has this crazy combo rush that 17 also has. But if you pick the right skin, there's a chance that Krillin with his hair will assist her with the attack, and I think that's a really, really cool little touch. But ultimately, 17 and 18 play pretty similar. 17 also has the gun like on his character skin, which is funny because he doesn't really use it except for History of Trunks, but it's just kind of neat that they went ahead and and had it listed. So just kind of a neat little piece there. Cell, oh man, what a powerhouse! So Cell starts off with his base form. You can transform into perfect as you keep going. His skin is blue, so like his secondary skin is blue, which I think is really kick-ass. Cell also has a really big pool of moves since the Z5, he has the DNA of everybody. He can also do his own version of a Spirit Bomb, where he's like, okay, you stupid planet, give me your energy, and he shoots it like a giant green Spirit Bomb, which I think is really, really cool. A couple of things that I dislike about Cell, though, is that the voice acting jumps from like first form Cell to perfect form Cell. It's not really that big of a deal, but I would have liked some consistency. It's like some lines will have imperfect Cell, some will have perfect Cell, and they didn't really code it to match the form that he was in, so it could be a little off-putting the first time that you hear it. But Cell still, though, is an absolute beast and a joy to play as. So I'm going to put him in the middle of A tier, right under Gohan. I think that's a pretty good spot for him. Cell Jr. Cell Jr. right at the bottom with the Cybermen. I think they'll go a little above Cybermen because technically they can do the Kamehameha. But Cell Jr. are really annoying to get. Very similar to Cybermen, what you have to do is go into the Red Ribbon Army mode and like play as a certain level character or against other certain level characters, and that can be really, really a pain to go ahead and get. And by the time you've unlocked Cybermen and Cell Jr., you've pretty much unlocked everything else in the game, so kind of a lame prize to get at the end, but I'll put him slightly above the Cybermen. But yeah, Cell Jr. again, not really a choice that I would go for. Now we're going to go, how could I forget about Future Trunks? Very similar to Gohan, Teen Gohan, he goes up to Super Saiyan 2. He's got his burning attack. He has the slash move that he used to go ahead and kill Frieza. He's flashy, he's fun, badass. What could I say? Let's go ahead and let's put Trunks let's put him behind Teen Gohan. Since Teen Gohan has the father-son Kamehameha, which I feel is a little more iconic, but yeah, Trunks, absolute badass. Love playing as, and they really made him fun to go ahead and play as. What's nice too is they actually utilizes the sword combat, which not all games do, which again I just think is a pretty nice little touch there. Now, lastly, with our Cell Saga here, we of course have Hercule. Hercule has the lowest energy of any character. The super move is pretty funny though. Like there's a lot of fun factor to playing as Hercule. So for that, I'm going to put him at the top of the Raditz tier just because of that. Like it's fun playing as Hercule. He has no keys. His super move is playing a bomb, and his Dragon Rush is pretty funny where he just beats the person unconscious and takes a picture with them. Like I said, a lot of love went into making Hercule pretty fun to go ahead and play as. But the lack of any meaningful abilities can kind of suck. He does technically have a transformation too, but it only moves his energy from 2 to 3. So it's like, okay, not really all that great. If I was going to play as anyone from the bottom tier, I'd probably pick Raditz or Hercule, just because, it's pretty goofy. And like if you could be a high tier character with Hercule, that's definite bragging rights there. You definitely deserve it. But anyway, let's go ahead and let's move on. So now we have Videl. Videl, again, she's a human character that doesn't really have a lot of key attacks. So a lot of her stuff is melee. She doesn't have good options when it comes to like fighting within range. I'm gonna put her above Yamcha in the D tier because of one reason and one reason only. Her ultimate move involves Gohan, so because she herself has no ki, she's not going to shoot off any Mega Blasts or anything. But what ends up happening is Gohan comes in and saves her. It's pretty kick-ass. I really like that. I think it's cute. He picks her up. It's nice. It's a nice, fun super to go ahead and use. And for that, I'll put her in like the middle of D tier because at least unlike Yamcha, it won't do like 0 damage. Next we have Supreme Kai. Get in that Raditz tier. I'll put him above Raditz, but under Great Saiyaman. Supreme Kai sucks. He's just terrible all the way around. And I'll put Kibito right above him. Supreme Kai doesn't really have like a final attack or anything. He just has the Patara earrings where he gets like a minor buff by fusing and turning into Kibito. Again, pretty bad. It can be a real drag to go ahead and pull that off, and the upgrade that you get may not necessarily be super worth it. It's cool that he's in the game. You know, I like the fact that they added him and Kibito as like a fusion that you can play as. But ultimately, like you're better off just picking another character. I can't think of anyone that would default to Supreme Kai. Next, we have Dabura. Dabura can be pretty dirty. First off, he's Satan, so that's pretty cool. Dabura uses a lot of sword attacks, which look and feel cool to use. His energy blasts look really cool. He does have a transformation where he gets like a red and black demon aura, which just looks badass. Sadly, he doesn't turn anyone into stone like he does in the show. But because of the transformation and because how flashy and how fun it is to play as Dabura, I'm going to put him in the center of B tier. All right, next we have regular old Majin Buu. I am going to put Majin Buu, and I'll put him behind Tien. I never like playing as Fat Buu. He's got a couple of moves like Innocence Cannon, Innocence Express, and like his ultimate. They're fine, okay. I mean, he has more. The Boos have more energy than a lot of characters in general, but I don't know. I just don't enjoy playing as Fat Buu. Like playing as him for long periods of time, his voice starts to get kind of screechy, and it just kind of annoys me after a while. The other Boos, I think, are certainly better. Now let's talk about Super Buu. Super Buu is an absolute freaking monster. Super Buu starts off with more energy than most other characters. He does have transformation, which is pretty cool. However, I'm going to put him at the bottom of A tier because you can't choose who you absorb, so it's always random. So it could be Gohan, it could be Gotenks, or it could be Piccolo. And your moveset is going to change based on what you absorbed. Now, if you are able to land the absorption, well, it feels cool to land that, and you could get someone really good. You would obviously hope for Gotenks or Gohan versus Piccolo. But the fact that you have that option is really, really cool. It could be really, really dirty. And base Super Buu has this one move where he does like a roll and forward. So he can really be a menace to go ahead and fight on higher difficulties. If you could choose which Buu form you wanted, or if you could just select like Super Gohan Buu or Gotenks Buu, I'd probably put him in Z tier. That lack of choice, I'm going to put him at the bottom of A just because of that unpredictability. Now, of course, we have Kid Buu. Kid Buu is another one that is an absolute menace. I'm going to put him above Super Buu because of the consistency. He has a crap load of energy. He has really flashy moves. Kind of has like a dark, it's almost like a spirit bomb, but it just looks awesome. Like everything about Budokai 3 is really big and flashy. It just feels really good to go ahead and, fire off these ultimates. And Kid Buu, again, he's a shorter character, so his attacks are faster. On higher difficulties, or if someone knows what he's doing with them, he can be absolutely dirty. Let's see. Gotenks and Kid Trunks. I'm going to put both of them together at the bottom of C tier. Now, the reason being is that they do have Super Saiyan transformation. They have their own moves. But the issue is that Gotenks is unreliable in going ahead and getting out. So really, they should all be kind of lumped together. So what you could do is you could sacrifice some of the moves and your Super Saiyan transformation. And what you can get is Gotenks. Now, the way that fusion works is that you have to equip the skill. And sometimes you'll get a transformation, like with Goku for Super Saiyan 4. And you'll typically get like a Kamehameha, or like whatever your basic like forward energy attack is. But the problem with these characters is that you can't start off playing as like Gotenks, Vegeta. You can't start off in the match as them. And that really can be a hindrance if you're fighting, against like a strong opponent or someone that's really good at the game. They'll probably wipe the floor with you before you get a chance to even activate the fusion. There's also a chance that the fusion can go wrong and you'll get like a crappy version of Gotenks or Vegeta. And also, there's a time limit when you have the Patara characters. Excuse me, not the Patara, the fusion dance characters. And once that timer's up, you go back to your base form of whoever you were playing as at the start of the match. I like the moves of Gotenks. It's really awesome and flashy, and it feels good when you hit those moves. But the road to get there in a game that can be as quick for Budokai 3, it really is difficult. So I'm going to go ahead and put them. You know what? Just because of the transformation, I will put them. Yeah, I will put them above Tien. Yeah, there we go. That looks better. All right. Oob. Get down in the Raditz tier. Oob has 2 moves. He has no super, no transformation. One thing I'll give him props for, though, is he has a crap load of energy. He has the same energy as Kid Buu, which, of course, makes sense. But they really did a bad job with him. Like, no upgraded form. Like, you can't turn into Majin from GT, as an example. You get him the way to unlock him is kind of cool because you have to play as Goku and use the Spirit Bomb to smack down on Kid Buu during the story mode in order to unlock Buu, which is nice. It's a really nice touch. You get a bonus animation with Goku if you use the Spirit Bomb on Buu and you're in your base or Kaioken form, which is cool. But actually using Oob sucks. You get cool that he's here, but not nearly as good as some of the other characters. Vegito. I want to put Vegito higher, but the problem is that he limits your move pool for Goku and Vegeta, so you don't have your only option to win is pretty much either basic attacks, your forward energy, or fusion. If you can get Vegito out, he could be super dirty, like his atomic blast. His ultimate move is the Spirit Sword. It's pretty cool when you get there, but the road to get there can be rather troublesome. But because he doesn't have a time limit, and he does have a crap load of energy, I'm going to put him at the bottom of B tier. It's a struggle to get him out, but if you can get him out, you could do some serious damage. Next, what we have here, let's do Bardock. Bardock, I'm going to put in the middle of C tier. Not that I don't like him. I mean, his ultimate move is super awesome. It's like this combo attack, so it's not just him chucking a Riot Javelin. So it is pretty nice, but there's no transformation. This was before Bardock was confirmed to be the legendary Super Saiyan, so that's not an option either, unfortunately. He's cool, but as terms of fighters, there are better options out there. But I'm glad, and he's another character that I'm glad he's here. Broly, on the other hand, is an absolute menace. Broly starts off in Super Saiyan form, and then you can quickly get him into his legendary Super Saiyan form. He does a high amount of energy, high damage. He just feels really, really good to go ahead and play as. Plus, his ultimate just looks awesome. The giant burst of green energy as he explodes everything around him. I'll put him above Ginyu. I say Broly's pretty fun to go ahead and play as. But that being said, because he is so big, he makes him a pretty easy hitbox target. Omega Shenron is a tough character to place. He has the highest energy in the game, so he starts off with max energy. His ultimate is really flashy, like the minus energy blast or whatever. It looks so cool to go ahead and use. I think because of that, he just squeaks at the bottom of A tier. He only has 3 moves that he can effectively use. And again, they look really cool. It's nice that he's a GT character that you can actually play as without the need of fusion. So I really do like that he is included. I'd put him higher in the A tier if he had a little bit more options or moves, or if there was like a cool transformation if he started off as like Sin Shinron and turned into Omega. But the fact that he does have all that raw energy at the start, and like I said, his super move is just awesome. I'll put him at the bottom of A tier. Gogeta. Man, this is kind of tough here. Gogeta, again, very similar to Gotenks. Unfortunately, is hindered by the ability to get him out. Once you get him out, he feels a lot better, and his attacks do crazy damage. But the road to getting him out could be very tedious, especially with a higher level opponent or a very strong Budokai 3 player. It could really go ahead and mess up your game. So I'm going to put him in the middle of C tier. just because like consistently getting him out can be a challenge. However, for Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta, I'm gonna put him. I'm gonna put him above Vegito, and let me explain why. To get Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta out, what you get two bonus skills. You get your forward energy, so like your Kamehameha, your Gallic Gun, and you also get your transformation into Super Saiyan 4. So what's cool is that you get that Super Saiyan 4 transformation. If you can tough it out and max out your energy and turn to Super Saiyan 4, you'll have that as kind of a backup to go ahead and rely on. Whereas with Vegito or Gogeta, you don't have that, even any transformation to go ahead and rely on. You have the only thing you have is your forward energy and your fusion. So because of that, I'll put Gogeta Super Saiyan 4 at the bottom of B tier. It does feel awesome, and like his ultimate, he has such big dick energy that it's really cool to watch. However, because of that, because he's so powerful, you don't really get him for as long as you do for Gotenks or Gogeta. So that's certainly definitely a hindrance. But the fact that you're able to keep your Super Saiyan 4 transformation and get your key and attack buffs along with the fusion, that's why I'm putting him up in the bottom of B tier. And so with that, that's going to wrap up our video here on ranking the Dragon Ball Z Budokai 3 characters. Let me know what you think in the comments. Let me know if there's anyone out there that you think should be in a higher tier than they are. I've never really done one of these ranking videos before. Maybe I'll go ahead and do some more in the future. But let me know what you think, and if you guys like it, I'll go ahead and make some more. As far as additional content, I got a couple of concerts coming up this week, so we'll be sure to get those concert reviews out once they're finished. And yeah, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.